Hello everybody, it's Fufu here, and today I'm going to discuss the best way to use Z-moves. Z-moves are a new battling mechanic implemented in Pokemon Sun and Moon, and they come in two types: attacking Z-moves, which deal massive damage, and the really interesting status Z-moves, which give non-attacking moves an extra effect. Today we'll be focusing on attacking Z-moves, but I'll be talking about the status Z-moves in my next video, so keep your eye out for that. So first of all, how do attacking Z-moves work? Well, the majority work by turning directly attacking moves into a souped up version of that move. All moves of the same type will result in the same Z-move. However, the power of the Z-move and whether the Z-move is a special or a physical attack will depend on the attack that it's based off. For example, both Tackle and Hyper Beam will turn into the Breakneck Blitz Z-move. Tackle is a much weaker move than Hyper Beam, so will result in a weaker Breakneck Blitz. And Tackle is also a physical move, which will result in a physical Breakneck Blitz, whereas Hyper Beam is a special move, which will result in a special Breakneck Blitz. It's worth noting that there are some exceptions to this convention in the signature Z-moves for specific Pokemon. So all this sounds great, right? Well, actually Z-moves are not always a good idea. You can only use one per battle and have to sacrifice your item slot for the Z-Crystal, which can be a really big deal. For some really powerful attacks, a Life Orb can give as much of a damage boost as a Z-move would give, and you get the Life Orb boost every turn, giving consistently higher damage output. But obviously that's at the sacrifice of some of your health. So when is it a good idea to use a Z-move? Well, there are a number of situations which I'll try to take you through now. This is probably the main reason to use a Z-move. Z-moves can be very hard to predict, especially seeing as though most Pokemon have a number of good item options, so it's always hard to tell if they hold a Z-Crystal. This can be good for luring your opponent into a false sense of security. They think their wall can take one more hit, but you activate the Z-move for incredible damage and nab an important KO. Pokemon don't have to hold the same Z-Crystal as their own typing. You can give them Z-Crystals of other typings if they learn moves of those typings. So for example, Lycanroc is a rock type, and it struggles with taking down steel types. It does however learn Fire Fang, which is a fire move that's super effective against steel, but it's quite a low base power move. However, you can give Lycanroc the Fire EMZ to boost this Fire Fang much stronger, and it can take out some steel types. Again, this tactic is not necessarily something that your opponent will see coming, so you can probably get some surprise KOs with it. An interesting aspect of Z-moves is that they have no additional effects. This can be both a good thing and a bad thing. For example, the Scald Z-move will not be able to burn the opponent, which is obviously not a great thing. But some very powerful attacks like Draco Meteor have negative side effects. When you use Draco Meteor, a very powerful dragon type attack, your special attack harshly falls after. You can use this as a Z-move, which is devastating Drake, and it's a very powerful Z-move, and you won't get that special attack drop afterwards. So the next turn, you'll be able to use your full power Draco Meteor. This is actually very important for doubles because there's not as much switching in doubles, so any minus stat modifiers that you have are very hard to get rid of. There are tons of moves with negative effects that you can avoid by using the Z-move, and just some of them are Leaf Storm, Superpower, Ice Hammer, and even V-Create. Along the same lines of avoiding negative effects of moves are that you can avoid the charge up of some moves. Some Pokemon only get coverage in the form of charge up moves. For example, Flareon doesn't get any ground coverage other than the move Dig. This will allow it to use a Tectonic Rage attack that's actually quite powerful, and it won't have to dig the first turn, which your opponent can then predict and switch around accordingly. This also works for a lot of fire types that get access to Solar Beam, but you would have to charge up the Solar Beam, whereas you can actually just give them the Gracium Z and they will be able to perform a powerful Bloom Doom attack without having to charge up at all. This is a really interesting aspect of Z-moves that I haven't mentioned yet. They actually can damage through Protect. They do only do 25% of the overall damage they would have done if the opponent hadn't protected, but this can be crucial, especially in the doubles format VGC, where Protect is everywhere. Protect is very strong in doubles because if your opponent targets one of your Pokemon and that Pokemon protects, then you can have a free turn to do damage or set up with your other Pokemon. Now, that turn might not be as free because the opponent might be able to damage through that protect, and if your Pokemon is already on low health, it might be enough to KO it. So that is a really crucial aspect now for doubles to consider. This is a situation that only applies to doubles. Spread moves are moves that hit more than one target. For example, if Garchomp uses Earthquake, it will hit its partner as well as the two opposing Pokemon. The good thing about that is that you can damage more than one Pokemon at one time. The bad thing about it is that you might end up damaging your partner, and also spread moves are reduced in power by 75%. All Z moves are single target, and that is really important, and they can be used on spread moves. So for example, in that scenario, you can give Garchomp the Groundinium Z and it can go for Tectonic Rage instead of Earthquake. What this will allow it to do is to target one of the opposing Pokemon, meaning that you're not damaging your partner, and also you're doing much more damage to that one Pokemon, because not only is Tectonic Rage more powerful than Earthquake, it's also single target, so it won't take that 75% damage reduction. This can give you more options in doubles and can be a very, very useful strategy to employ. Other examples where this may be used in doubles is if you have a discharging Pokemon, you can use Gigavolt Havoc against one target, or if you're using Surf, you can use Hydro Vortex against one target. So there are a number of options, and it could just be very useful to be able to choose in battle. So there you have it. Those are the best ways I think you can use attacking Z moves. I think that they're a really cool mechanic that can give you just that little bit more flexibility in battle that could be super important. If you have any interesting ways of using attacking Z moves, I'd love to hear it in the comments section. Also, keep an eye out for my next video on status Z moves, because I think that they are really interesting, some of the best things added to this game in my opinion, so definitely check that out when it's there. All that's left to be said is I've been Fufu, you've been awesome, and hopefully see you next time. Goodbye.